Recording in progress.
Yes. Do you want me to say the good news? Ish?
Yeah, thank you.
Gallery mode, just
You can see all the
Jerry.
Yeah,
Recorded in that way.
Oh,
It will record it that way?
But it's fine, I mean,
That's
Yeah,
all
I think
right.
that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, because Jerry has a valid reason to be not in person, so he is allowed to participate.
exactly.
Record.
yes. And we are a quorum.
And we are recording.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You can vote record.
So Jerry, I don't know if you were here, Barbara gave me some updated numbers for retirement and like Medicare reimbursement. So with those updated numbers, they're lower than original, which
Yay,
is good. So now we're down to 5.4.
yay. That is. See anything under six.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the good news.
I think for open items, we have the full waterways fund.
Right.
What revenues have been, what expenditures we definitely want to keep in using waterways monies, and what's going to go into the fund balance. We also have some clerk salaries to contend with. I don't have the full analysis, but I do have some information about where some who have been with us for a long time are situated on a per hour basis versus their peer group. And there's some inequities. We're trying to figure out
How to sort that out.
a good way to go forward, but maybe for this budget season, we just try and correct a couple that are in not the right place. I don't know which one we want to start with.
Oh, why don't we start with the big one? Let's start with the waterways.
All right.
It's a Band-Aid.
Let me bring up an issue just from the get-go. And that is, it's a question that's been troubling me for a while. And I just think maybe to push on the accelerator a bit on this question, which is, can we actually get to annual renewal by Jan 1 in terms of administrative tuning up or revving up to meet that demand, to meet that need? And I'm not sure that we can.
Explain what you mean by that, because I'm not sure.
Well, it would require, sort of, in my mind, and, not to say that I'm 100% on this, but it would require that over the month of January, we send out renewal letters to everyone? We still haven't,
haven't
because we've
decided
had a
yet.
discussion, but let's say that. And you have until, the new system would be you have until April 30th to renew and pay and all of that. Well, that's just some tuning up at Online Moorings. We do have issues with some of the contact information being still from Jax for all the moorings installed over these many years. And I'm not sure where we are in that process, but I don't think Bo is out until tomorrow, so I couldn't come to this meeting prepared. But I don't think we're anywhere near where we could expect by the end of January to be there. So okay, so let's just say that that's true, that Jan 1, even if we did less than all of them, as you're arguing for, that it might be a difficult achievement. So that's number one. So let's say, okay, so we say we're going to raise the rates, but we stay with 3 years. Well, what a burden. What a burden. I mean, I just think, that it's hard enough to raise these rates, but then to say you need to pay 3 years at once, because we are not administratively set up to bill you on a 1 year on an annual basis. So that's the second thing rattling around in my head. I will just apologize that I'm late but I have to also say that some of this came out of course, the WMAC input, not only at the meeting, but in subsequent emails of review, let's take into account what they've said And then, sort of out of that comes these thoughts in my head. And as I said, not having Bo around to bounce them off has made it a little bit, so that's why I'm so wishy-washy in this morning. And I don't think he's available till after tomorrow. I think tomorrow's his return day. So I can't even say that tomorrow we could discuss it further. What are our drop dead dates here?
That's what I was just gonna ask the same question.
Yeah,
That would be either Dottie or Shelby.
right. Well, it's the Thursday after election day that we have,
We have to have the public hearing by.
right?
November 10th. In the book, November 10th.
The public hearing notice needs to be a week before that,
So that,
the 3rd. It's just the notice.
Right.
And the 10th is the hearing, and the budget has to be adopted by the 20th.
Now, that's the earliest we can have the public hearing, but we can have it a little later. Not that we would want to, but it's.
No, I think that's the latest.
That's the latest?
That's the
Oh,
latest you can
okay.
have it.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
So
And if the date is the 20th to adopt the budget, which is a Sunday, do you go to Monday, the 21st then?
you have to do it before.
Or you have to go
I think
before? It's Thanksgiving.
the
So
8th,
we really, oh no, before is the 18th. Okay, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dottie, do you confirm all that?
Oh, yeah. It only has to be
So-
advertised 5 days too.
5 days, yeah.
Between hearing and approval?
Notice of public hearing 5 days prior to the
5
hearing.
days before the hearing.
Notice of it. And then
Right.
between the hearing and approval is what it is.
Right. So.
So, okay, so we have time then, is what I'm trying to, what we're getting.
Yeah, we do.
Crunch these numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I still am of the mind where I think that we should only renew, like, we should only switch over as people come up for renewal.
right, right. So that's a third, I mean, have we,
So that'll kind of
yeah,
phase it in.
right,
Those people are up for renewal, they're going to have to renew anyways.
right,
We just have to then change the system to a 1 year.
right, right. Okay,
So that's only one fix.
the whole database.
Amber, if you follow through on that premise, the people that are renewing this year are gonna pay the new fee, and the other two aren't, and the people that are paying this year are gonna pay it next year, and they're gonna pay it 3 years before the third party pays it once.
Luck of the draw, Jerry? Or you don't like that?
As I used to say to my kids,
I
like
think we
life
should
isn't
do it all at
fair.
once.
Yeah,
I don't know, I go back to my car registration at DMV. Like, if DMV came back to me and said, oh, you paid for 2 years, but we just made a change and now you have to come back in and re-register because we're switching you over to 1 year, we'll give you a
On a-
credit.
On a much smaller scale, the kayaks, we credited the people for the second year when we changed the fee.
but there's a second reason now besides Amber's sense of fairness, here, which is administratively.
Logistically, we probably can't
Yeah.
handle it.
Yeah, so maybe now, Jerry, there's two reasons to consider Amber's methodology.
Well, I'm open to discussion. I don't think it's an issue. I think we can do it administratively, but it'll be a little
Alright.
harder, but we can do it.
Who's Christina and or Dottie, I don't know who to direct this question to, who's able to get me the number, or us, so we can consider the number of people who will be renewing in 2023?
I based it on the revenue stream and I think it's like 58%.
Are due in 2023? Oh,
Because
wow.
it's not a third,
It's not.
I'm looking for that piece of paper right now. where
Right.
I did that, but my recollection was 58%.
Okay,
And I remembered random stupid numbers.
okay. Is that your
Not
problem?
always. Yeah, I'm stuck.
All right,
But I'll
so.
double check that, if I can find it.
Because then if that's the number and we go, then we can, redo the numbers and figure out what what the impact is.
Yeah, because I think it was like 21% the following year and then the following year.
Right.
So just to go back to your thinking, Jerry, by the second year, 70 some odd percent
Will have already, yeah.
will be in the renewal phase. So there's only like 20% that won't be.
Right. And I understand some of the commercial moorings pay annually, even though they're on a 3-year renewal, just for their own expensing, I'm sure. But I don't know of the commercial moorings, how many do that and where they're at, because they're a significant number separate from, to consider them separately from the residential to recalculate these numbers and what the impact will be.
58% in 2023, then we'll have 86% renewing in 2024 and 100% by 2025. So it's actually even a little bit higher for the second year.
Yeah,
So we're at a good point to do this because we're
Right.
capturing 58%.
right,
But
right. And that does not break out residential versus,
no,
and so that's the last little piece we need to.
right.
Residential versus commercial. And the final thing is, I will need from the clerk's office, how many holding moorings have been issued and to whom? Because I think we need to talk about a different rate for the holding moorings. That's kind of important. So we have some work to do.
And then are we also going to somehow address like commercial baymen or fishermen versus recreational, like how?
Right, commercial, yes, commercial that gets a rent versus commercial that's used.
Right.
Which I wonder, to take the holding mooring and the bayman mooring and mush, to kind of create a third category here that would include those two, and it's not very many.
Like,
but
right, it's not,
It's significant to them.
yeah.
So to create a third category.
So I think the first thing we have to do is see what we're comfortable with saying WMAC fund should be paying for.
Yeah,
Yeah, although I'm still stuck on the rates themselves
yeah,
before we even get to the expenditure side.
Well,
right,
the
Go ahead.
concern from the WMAC was, what are the expenses that you're justifying this on? So if we can come up with a number that the expenses are, then we can go back.
right. Yeah, yes, okay, so then we need to work on both sides simultaneously before our next meeting. I'll make, to work on the revenue side. We all can look at that and come up with some, the revenue and the expense side.
And I did have a meeting with Joe Fenora and Brian Sherman on Thursday. And I have a list of all the marine assets and what the sort of years left of useful life, for some things before we need to repair things. And for the next few years, we are in good shape. Like South Silver Beach Road bulkheading is budgeted for 2023. There's Crescent Beach, Groin number 1 and 2 over the next 5 years. There's a few things, but they're not high cost as far as what we need dollar-wise.
So the fund that exists is what, you're saying, right?
Yes, yes. But even if you look at the letters that came from some of the WMAC members, there was question there as to historically what the money's been used for,
Yeah.
related to moorings and town ramps. The launching dock and the beach harbor was included in there, but
Which is not to say that philosophically,
yeah, but I mean, that's a philosophical,
right, we can
it's sort
just,
of been historical, but I sort of feel like, what is the money for?
right, I mean,
I think it is a good use.
Yeah.
But
and sort of independent of the expense level is this sort of, again, just broader question of you're renting a town asset and what do the rest of the taxpayers deserve? What should they expect from your rental of that asset, which is town bottom?
By you renting that asset, you're also taking up space in the waterways that other people can't use.
For their paddling or for their.
Right. So, for the rest of the public to benefit from that it's not, it's not counterintuitive, you know, because you're taking up space on the waterways that other people don't get to use, and you're paying that. So then why shouldn't they also benefit from your rent and the waterways that they can't access?
Exactly.
So,
That's a good point.
Right, but I'll counter that. What if I go, I take a friend's kayak out, so I drag it down to a town landing, go kayaking, the big constables can make sure the water is safe for me to get in. But I'm not paying a mooring fee, I'm not paying a boat storage fee, because I'm dragging the kayak down myself. How am I paying for some of this, since I am using it? Just kind of talking it out there.
Well, it's your piece of the asset. In other words, you have a right to it as a person on Shelter Island, as a resident, one way or the other. I'm not going to go into rent versus own.
Well, no, because my rent helps to pay real
Yes,
estate taxes.
that's
so-
exactly.
Right.
So I would just say that, you know, your use of the water is covered, is part of your, what you pay to live here. So,
If we're carving out like all Bay Constable, carving out all, you know, some other things,
yeah,
I'm not really paying for it via property taxes.
well, put it this way, if there were, how about if there were no moorings? How would we take it to the ridiculous extreme? If there were no moorings at all, well, how would we think of the same problem? Like, so there'd be no interference.
taxes.
Yeah, there'd be no interference in your kayaking or windsurfing or whatever. You know, the waterways would be free. The vistas, some perhaps would prefer because they'd be pristine. So there's that. I mean, no, you're not paying for it, but you're not also taking anything from anybody. You're not, your use of the top of the water from kayaking or even scuba diving doesn't impact me as a other resident next door to you. Whereas a mooring impacts me in whatever way you might define it, it does. The extent of that impact and how we measure it in terms of coverage of expenses to be debated, but I do think philosophically it does justify. But I think it justifies without even talking about expenses. That's actually my point. You've got a piece of you're permanently using something that you're just dipping your toe in.
I'm kind of playing devil's
Yeah,
advocate.
no, but I think that holds water, you know? I was trying to think of an analogous thing as we were talking, but it didn't come to mind of some other thing. I mean, just to also reiterate, this is the other, you know, people are saying the people who own docks. Well, they do. Again, it is included in their asset, in their value, in their assessment. The dock has a value and that is included. So they do contribute, but to the general fund, because there's no practical, maybe even there's no legal way to separate that out and put it into a special fund.
It counts as an extension of the residence.
Exactly. So, and that's not true so much of some commercial docks. And some commercial docks, yes, are in fact assessed, some are not, depends on whether or not they're income generating. So we'll just go
So,
rework
yep,
numbers
next
and
steps. Yeah.
come back with more of a,
All right, we'll dig into it.
So we won't be putting this budget to bed today.
Okay.
So we should come up with a distinct analysis of,
yeah, I want to do,
do you
yeah,
want to work on the revenue side and I'll work on the cost side?
Sure.
So we'll pull just a spreadsheet that shows everything that we're proposing to be paid for, as well as future set-asides, so that we have some money in the fund balance, the waterways fund balance to cover.
right. Or do you want to leave that aside, the fund? I don't know.
Well, we want to and my analysis, given what we have in the current budget for revenues and for expenditures, we are putting money back into the waterways fund so
Mhm.
that we will start to build up the balance a little bit, because it got down to 90 some odd thousand last
Right.
year. So we will start to build it back up. But, when we have some future expenditures down the line, in 10 years, we've got, like $300,000 worth of outlays
Mhm.
potentially. They may get staggered a little bit because we can't do 7, 8 projects at one time,
No,
even if some of them are small.
We also have to make sure we have a buffer in case we have another Sandy-like hurricane and end up with severe damage to the coast.
Yes, and we'd need that buffer because most of that would be FEMA reimbursed.
Right.
But we'd need, we have to lay it out, so.
but again, that's part of the philosophy. How much of the operating expenses and how much of the capital, if you will, expenses should be borne by the mooring? So if you do the expenses like we've been doing the revenues, which is options, like how much of Bay Constable percentage should be covered by these fees and how much, so the same thing.
Yes,
And then,
yeah, and I'll go back to the emails that we got from WMAC and sort of see if I can stagger in like option 1, option 2, option 3.
right.
Although it seems like they're more on the revenue side, but.
Right.
Right.
there's
But
still-
there
there's
is,
still some philosophical
yeah, there is an
differences.
expense, they have a problem with it.
Yeah.
They would like to push down the expense to lower skilled people, and I vehemently disagree with that. Temporary summer
Oh, yes.
work, I don't agree with that.
So which topic do we want to go to next? Are you running the show, Jerry, or am I running the show?
Oh,
since
you're
I'm-
running it, Amber. I'm just observing.
I wasn't sure. I don't want to like step on your toes. We said salaries was another option?
Yeah.
Clerk salaries?
Yes.
I go over
Yeah.
clerks.
So we've got a few clerk salaries, and if we're not finalizing things today, and I do have a little bit more time to like work on this, but what we're finding is we have like a senior officer, someone who could be promoted to senior office assistant, and the department head is suggesting that she be promoted to senior office assistant because she's doing work at that level.
Mhm.
But if we look at the hourly rates, and I'll get this cleaned up and circulated to everybody,
That'd be great.
which shows, that bottom of the barrel, like like even though this person has been here and is getting longevity, so they've been here over 5 years, I think less than 10, making, let's see, we've got a new hire who is making $4 an hour more
Oh,
Yeah,
on
that,
an hourly
yeah, okay.
basis.
oh, yeah,
So that's,
has to be corrected.
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and a little bit of that, can be because promoted to the next
Tier, yeah.
Or, title.
Mhm.
But I want to continue to look at this, but we do have some corrections that, it's a little bit here and there that will need to be done.
Okay.
But the budget impact will be, I'm not 100% sure, but we have unfairness going on, so.
Mhm.
That's, that I'll get to you guys after tomorrow. Actually, after this week, things calm down.
That's fair.
So hopefully our next meeting, we'll do until next week when you've had a chance to do stuff on the revenue
Yeah.
side, I'll do stuff on the expense side. What was the third thing?
Bless you. You left undone.
WMAC,
Clerk,
clerk salaries.
I mean, we still have the union negotiations, but that's
Yeah, those won't be
Ongoing.
finalized until after, so we have reserves
for that.
set aside for that within contingency.
What's the other, I don't,
I feel like there was.
there were,
Say 3 at the beginning, I only remember the 2 at the beginning of the meeting.
for some reason I felt like there were 3, but I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, I'm like so scattered this morning.
Yeah.
Jerry, was there a third thing?
I don't think there's anything of any significance.
Okay,
These were the 2 biggies.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
Yeah.
you just want to mention, like, how last time Jim was talking about.
Oh, here's Jim.
For cell tower money?
We're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to button down where the
The increases,
the increases
and
are.
then see if we want to offset it.
Yes.
Yes, Jim,
Hi, Jim.
just Amber.
Amber. Because I had close contact with somebody who tested positive.
I wore a mask
You can sit next to me if you want.
flights.
I won't be typhoid, maybe.
I've been 5 days in a row testing negative.
Yeah.
Wait, the mask, the CDC guidelines say 10 days for mask wearing for a close exposure, so.
There you have it.
I'm-
You're the lady that plays by the book. I love it. And I just love it.
The world was like,
I was gonna say, I
Just
was,
saw your husband in the post office, right?
oh, really?
Conversation.
So pretty much what we've gone over so far is that we need more information on the waterways, so we can't really make any decisions on that. Amber's still gonna do a little bit more on the clerk's salaries, trying to get them
Are we
fair
doing
and
budget
square.
right now?
yes.
Was this?
Began at 10
Yes, it
o'clock.
was.
I was counting money at the church. That's where I was. So
So we are on,
Father Peter came back, so it's all
we're all
right.
good.
We're on Zoom live, there's the new.
Jar, how you feeling?
Better, thanks, Jim.
And so, I mean, pretty much that's where we're at. We need to sort out clerk salaries, and we need to do more work on the moorings, the fees and the,
So how do we,
Before we
just
can-
get me up to speed on the mooring fees, on what's our feelings on this? Are we picking the middle of the road type of thing, or are we,
We don't have feelings yet.
Oh.
We're going to.
have feelings tonight?
Yeah. Amber's gonna.
Would you do this for me? I'll bring you across.
Amber's gonna re-examine expenses and give us options.
Okay,
That will, give just options in terms of how much of these expenses that we've previously identified do we really want to cover by moorings, given the WMAC input and given the need to keep our fund balance healthy. Okay, so there, that's that side, and then I'm gonna rework.
and I think that's a good thing, by the way, because it is not an endless pit. You know, I mean, because I've seen that 325 go down into the
Oh, yeah,
50s.
no, 90. Yeah, that was,
90s?
that was my lowest. Let me just bring that schedule back.
Yeah, we have to be careful.
Yeah, so some of those operating expenses probably will have to be, well, I mean, without a doubt, will have to be moved from the WMAC pot to the general fund.
Yeah.
But what they are, Amber will give us some choices.
All right.
So that's that. I mean, so we're really,
All right.
you know, just trying to listen to the WMAC, make sense of their viewpoint
Yeah.
when it comes to the specifics,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So,
But I still feel that the mooring fees have to be increased. I mean,
I think we all are in
Yeah.
agreement, you know, it's just how much,
Yeah.
how to inflict it. I mean, Freudian slip is right, how to implement, I knew it is sound, implement it, but inflict too. I mean, you know, truth be told,
bit of both.
anytime you increase a fee, people are gonna be,
Yeah.
you know, feeling it. I mean, it's just, we have to be conscious of that. So,
But when I was out in California, and I responded about even the kayaks,
Yeah.
all that stuff, you know, for lots of reasons. I mean, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's a reasonable amount of money. You don't have to lug this thing back and forth to your house. You have the luxury of being able to slide it up, put a couple of kayaks, lock them up, secure them, have them in place. They're not being dragged all over the place. They're not strewn. We're putting more in less space, by the way, because we're stacking them 3 high. So this, and in the beach area is now the beach area, as Amber said, we used to drag the boats down through there. It gives more structure and better organization to an area that was getting out of hand.
Yeah.
You know, and could ruin perfectly good beach grasses and dunes and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I don't get where we're quibbling about, you know, if I was a kayaker and I, you know, to spend that kind of money to put my kayak down there and I didn't have to lug it, so I didn't have to take the truck all the time, I could bike down,
yeah.
you know, and jump in my kayak, that's great.
And right now, it's more expensive, I think, to store your kayak than it is to have a mooring for a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of
Yes.
unfair.
Yeah.
That is.
And I agree with that. So
So that has to be rationalized. I mean,
yeah, it does.
because we all agree the kayak fee is not outrageous. We all agree.
And by the way, the space is filled up rapidly.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
they
exactly.
Filled up
If it
rapidly.
was too expensive, the market would tell you.
Correct, exactly. So, you know, if we only filled 35% of the kayak racks, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But in fact, it pretty much filled them up, you know?
Yeah.
So I think with the mooring fees, and I go back to just last comment, I think that's an excellent, point. We don't think the kayak fees are too high, we think the mooring fees are too low, and reasonably, you you know, we're not gonna triple them, quadruple them, but they have to go up substantially, you know, whatever that number
At the very
might be.
least, they should equal the kayak fee. I mean,
Yeah,
just,
I think they should at least, if not more.
yeah.
What does 25% do to the mooring fees? Does that put it in line with the kayak fee?
I'm not sure. I haven't
Okay,
had the chance to do the math.
so we figure that out, because that was a number that was passed out at the last WMAC meeting.
That was the commercial side, I
Yeah.
think, Jim, not the private side. So that's also too, we have to think about two different,
Okay.
impacts on two
Oh, that
different.
was John's assessment of what he felt he could absorb in the commercial end of things, right?
I think John's was less, but it was it not the,
No, I thought he
it
said I could live with 25%.
was $25. I'll have to
Oh,
what? Percent? Or was percent? Okay.
percent, it was percent, yeah, he said,
Different numbers.
yeah, it's something, and I said, I think we should take him up on that. And, you know,
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it's a dance. It's a dance
yeah,
for the two sides of the ledger that we have to, that we don't have enough information yet.
the better prepared
Worked
that
out.
we can go into tonight, though, you could.
Is there a WMAC meeting tonight? I don't think so. I think it's CAC tonight.
Oh,
It's
okay.
CAC.
It's,
Yeah.
okay, all right, okay.
Last week?
Weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right, it was 2 weeks ago.
so it's not till November 7th.
Okay, all right,
Have it done by then, because that's the week of the budget hearing.
okay, CAC tonight, okay,
Yeah, CAC.
yeah, all right.
I got CPAC next week. I came up fast.
I know, geez. I tried to do a dabble a little this weekend, but didn't get far.
Did we want to talk at all about boat length pricing versus
Yeah,
Talk about what, Amber?
boat length pricing versus?
Oh, yes.
Just
Yeah,
flat-
I
flat
mean,
fee?
I think it's basically fair to do that, but again, push back in terms of its administrative complications,
That's, yeah.
which we may.
That's the one argument against it, I get that. But to be honest with you, you can't pull up to any dock where it's one price fits all.
Apples Harbor does it when they rent out their moorings on a seasonal basis, not nightly. The nightly doesn't do this, but seasonally, it's on a per foot basis, less than 19 feet,
Right.
20 to 29, and then the third category, I don't have it off the top of my head. So it's not only docks, it is moorings, it's not only here at Southold, and other places do this, so it's not the theory.
Unprecedented.
Right, it's not the theory, and I think the theory is fair. If you want a bigger boat, therefore you pay bigger money. That being said, administratively, can we do it? Quite yet. And I think this is an easy implementation because of online moorings and because people have to tell you what their boat is.
Right.
And the only way it's not easy is riparian, but we could pick what riparian. We could say which of the rates we'll assign to riparian unless you want to come in and tell us what the boat is.
But the bigger the boat, the bigger the swing area. I mean, bigger the swing area, the more ground you're taking up.
I agree. Mike Anglin says they give the same amount of swing area to every mooring, no matter what the size. I didn't think that was true, but I have to.
But in moving
Defer.
forward, you could, as a strategy, put all the boats 19 feet and less in one area and the boats 19 to 29 in another. Give them all the same swing area.
I agree. I'm going to play devil advocate with you here because this is what came back to me when I made that exact same argument. So you have a mooring, you have a 19-foot boat on it, and then you move up to a 28-foot boat. You have the tackle that could handle the 28-foot boat. You're just
Right.
going to add more chain.
Right,
Let's
yeah.
just say.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe you already have nothing changes, let's say.
Yeah.
So,
But now you'd have to move.
Location.
yeah, to move the location.
Yeah,
Yeah. So again,
yeah, I get that.
but that being said, let's just say real estate is real estate. You're renting the same amount no matter what size your boat is. But does size of boat somewhat correlate with ability to pay? And should we be sensitive to that? Which is actually not even a user, this is almost an ad valorem tax. It's a tax based on ground, not on income.
Right.
But should there be a consciousness of that, of ability?
Sure.
Again, liberals tend to like progressive taxes. Not flat rates.
All right, so I think
we'll
we'll
think about it, right?
dig into it more, and I want to reread all the letters that we've received
we're-
and kind of put it together.
Johnny,
and-
where are we number wise now?
Yeah,
Yeah, so Barbara, I was telling them earlier, Barbara updated some of her numbers she gave us, because they actually came in lower. So we are at 5.4.
5.4.
Yeah, but with those changes.
So we'll finish expenditure stuff and then.
Okay.
The other thing we were waiting for, I remember the third thing was just Brian.
Brian.
As the fund.
Oh, right.
What about the contract negotiations? Does that enter into the equation here that we need to nail that down before or?
I don't think that we will be able to finish them before.
I mean, it would be great if we could,
We
but
have a number, we have contingency to, so then some of the cost has been considered.
Well, if we go,
Hopefully later today, Brian will have that
Yes.
lease from the other company that he was waiting to hear back from.
okay.
So if he sends that in an email, I can forward it to everyone and then we can discuss the next time.
So when do we want to meet again? So
okay.
this needs to go in the paper by Thursday the 3rd. So we'd have to get it to them by October 31st.
trick or treat.
Well, right, I was,
Next week, we have to get this
Nailed down.
nailed down.
And I am sorry to say that I'm flying back out to my mother on the 26th. That just means the 26th is a tough day. Of course, I can zoom in 27, 28, flying back on Saturday. I'm only gone for 2 days, depending on her condition,
Do
but
we want to meet on the 25th in the morning then, the Tuesday?
that'd be fine. Are you not back the 24th yet?
No, I will, I'm gonna leave sometime Wednesday afternoon and I'll come back either late on Saturday or early on Sunday.
Because I'd be happy with Monday too, to leave Tuesday again as a possibility of needing
Okay.
another.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Right? And there's nothing on I don't think there's anything on that Monday.
no, we just have CPAC that.
Yeah,
Other than that,
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
work to get back on the island early-ish on the 23rd,
okay,
even if I have to leave cracked like 3 a.m. in the morning, just so I have some time to work on
right,
punching stuff, because once I get up to Rochester, I'll be tied up.
right, right.
okay.
When's the present?
Well, we could also do it later on Monday.
Oh,
That's fine too. Why don't we do, anybody Monday at 2, Monday at,
That's fine.
because I don't mind rolling right into CPAC.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, yeah, that works.
So say 2 or 3?
I would say 2.
2.
2?
Yeah, because you guys have to get ready for.
Yeah,
I've got-
yeah, 2 is good.
2 o'clock this coming Monday
Yeah, on the
Seven.
24th.
from today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that work for you, Jerry?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. And then we could do the morning of the 25th if we needed to.
Yeah, yeah.
Should we schedule that now just to have it and then we can
Tentative.
cancel it if we don't need it?
Yes.
Do 9 o'clock or 9:30?
Maybe 10, because if something comes up on Monday that,
We want time to work on it.
yeah, we'll have a meeting and then, so
Yeah,
Russell
that's
is
true.
getting up early.
Dottie?
Yes?
Yes, can I say something?
Yes, please.
I have to get this to the paper by the 24th. No, by the 31st, sorry,
Right.
okay?
Yes.
And that
So we're-
means, that means by 10 o'clock in the morning. So
The 30,
you have to be finished by the
Friday.
Friday before,
Yes.
yes,
okay?
understood. Thank you.
Okay. So schedule the second one for Tuesday at 10 in
Yep,
case we need it.
Yeah.
That's October 25th.
The 25th, yeah.
Okay.
And then BJ, you're flying out Wednesday?
26, yes. Delayed, well,
I'm gonna tell you,
So that should be fine.
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get this.
Let's try to get this done.
25th.
the weather was this weather, by the way, in LA.
yeah,
It's overcast till 2 o'clock every day and had some drizzle and rain.
Yeah, let's try to wrap this up by the 25th.
Yeah,
That gives Dottie plenty of time to get it to the paper.
yeah.
yes.
All right.
And yeah, I'll try to get revenue stuff out. Maybe it even would be helpful, Amber, if you have some options in front of you, new options,
Yes.
to be looking at expenses for your options, generating options.
And maybe even on Monday morning, you and I can like, okay, these are the things so
Yes.
that you can, your revenues can kind of like,
Align.
yes, yeah. Okay. That a wrap?
The wrap.
Amber,
I
the
think
only
so.
other thing we need to do, it's not really for the budget, but we have to get it done, is the fuel surcharge for the landfill. We have to
Yes.
get that in place ASAP.
Yeah, and I talked to Brian about that on Thursday in our meeting, and we talked about some methodologies. Trying to do something that's pegged to the rack price that we pay, rather than doing, like, having us pass a resolution that says, we're gonna add a 10% fuel charge or a 5% fuel charge, that, although that would be flexible, I guess. But having something that it's pegged to something, and so he knows, like, okay, it's changed, rates have gone down, he can lower the fuel surcharge without having to come back to the board and us doing a whole new
It
calculation.
just should be a certain spread above or below.
Yes.
Yeah, rack charge.
Okay, that makes
So I paid 305 what's it, BJ's there at the thing in Riverhead going to LA. Landed in LA, drove the kids to school, no gas in the car, she was no gas, typical Megan. No gas in the car, pulling the gas station, $6.19 for cash. And a lot of places, high 6s, low 7s. Nothing under 6.9
Wow.
in LA.
They have fairly high road, it's fairly high tax to have the nice roads that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. That with $50 in it was like a quarter of a tank. I mean, it was incredible, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get on freeways, they're everywhere.
So Amber,
people-
just to beat a dead horse, leap season's here, so we really got to get that surcharge in place. Okay,
Yep, we need to talk to Brian.
okay.
And figure out, yeah.
Yeah.
Could we, it's too late to do anything tomorrow, though, don't we, do we have to do something in town meeting, pass a
Yeah, we
resolution?
have to do it like a special meeting next week if we want
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, what do we have for tomorrow?
we have a new agenda for the work session. We want to review the housing forum and perhaps try to answer some questions that were presented, submitted, and not answered. And maybe even some questions that were sort of raised rhetorically that day, but not answered, because they were rhetorical questions, but by raising them, they've now placed out in people's minds. And so maybe we could review a little bit of that tomorrow in the public work session. And then we have an executive session and a legal. Executive is for contract negotiations. And then the town board meeting, I don't know, that agenda's chock full as usual.
Just for your information, we have 103 resolutions for the regular meeting tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
So chock full as usual. We have to figure out how to read less.
That's okay.
All right.
Gonna be super forearmed. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Dottie.
Dottie, why are there so many? I mean, that's a lot.
Jack's Mooring's coming up.
Okay,
Gotcha.
so what's that,
Let's see.
40, 45?
45 for
Right.
Jack's, yes.
All right,
That's-
we'll find a way to consolidate reading them.
Do we have locations now, Dottie? They've submitted the locations?
Not the new ones, no.
I mean, Jack's, they were supposed to, put the,
Peter,
no?
do you know how people come through with resolutions?
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
All right.
That's it.
I got.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.